Good morning. So let me put this down so I can see you. So I write songs, or rather songs write me, because all the songs are written already. Every combination of notes and words already exists in the infinite, invisible, great unmanifested, as I call them. And what I do is I open up, I go in, and I tend to write songs about my deepest dreams, my deepest longings, my deepest desires, things that really move me, things that I really care about in spirit. And then I bring them up for myself, and I hope that they will touch other people. And this song I'm going to sing for you is one such song. This song really speaks of my deepest dreams and desires. And the interesting thing about this song, as I sing this song around the country, what I find is that of all the songs I've ever written, this seems the most to touch the hearts of the most people. People seem to see themselves in it, to see a sense of recognition in it. So see if that doesn't happen for you. The song is called My Simple Wish. Ever since I was a baby, I have had one dream in mind. And I hope and pray that maybe it will finally come true. It's a simple wish that everyone has had from time to time. So I know you'll understand me when I share my dream with you. I want to be rich, famous, and powerful. Step on all my enemies and never do a thing. I want to be rich, famous, and powerful. So all I have to do in life is sit around and sing. I don't want to work, struggle, or compromise. When I set a goal, I want to reach it right away, because paying your dues, that's just for other guys. As for me, I want what I want, and I want it all today. I don't want to audition. I don't want to take class. I want to be discovered while I'm sitting on my ass. I should not have to suffer. I should not have to sweat. I tried that for 10 minutes once, and look, what did I get? I'm still not rich, famous, and powerful. Barbara Streisand has it all, and I can do what she can do, so why is she rich, famous, and powerful? Well, I'm still stuck here schlepping through my life like all of you. What does it take to be famous and powerful? God, if you are listening, please tell me what to do. What do I have to fake to be famous and powerful? I've done everything I can, and now the rest is up to you. I tried being good. I tried being nice. I even tried pretending I was listening once or twice. But the really big stars have made it without it. Was Betty Davis pleasant? Well, I seriously doubt it. Still, she was rich. Everyone adored her, and the world was at her feet. And she was a bitch. It's obvious that I have gotten nowhere being sweet. Now I know I should be thankful for the blessings that I've got. There are those who truly worship me. Starving, I am not. And I suppose good friends and family and help count for a lot. But I have to admit, all that doesn't mean shit if I'm not rich, famous, and powerful. Oh, come on, don't be so shocked. You know you feel the same as I. If we were rich, famous, and powerful, we could take all those agents and casting directors, tiny apartments and back tax collectors, critics and casting calls, chilly rehearsal halls, people who bore us, and jobs in the chorus, and kiss them all goodbye. Is that too much to ask? Okay. See, that really touches a place in you, doesn't it? I mean, it just seems that everyone really understands that, right? Good. So, I wrote that song 22 years ago in 1992. And I'm fond of saying that, unfortunately, the sentiment in that song is the truest thing I ever wrote. Up until that time, and for quite a while after I wrote the song, I did everything I could think of to become rich, famous, and powerful, to acquire possessions, to win, to make it. But no matter how successful I became, no matter how hard I tried, what I really wanted, which was to experience true prosperity, eluded me. In fact, as I look back, I realized that through all that time, I hadn't the faintest idea what true prosperity even was. Since coming to Unity and since creating the Thought Exchange, which I'll tell you a little more about in a few minutes, I learned that prosperity is not stuff, although a lot of stuff often shows up with the experience of prosperity. Prosperity is not winning or getting ahead, but rather prosperity is knowing at every moment that we already have everything we could ever want and need available to us at all times. This is not just the airy-fairy stuff and the spiritual stuff. It's everything we could ever want and need right now. Today, I'm going to talk about a spiritual practice that I have found to be one of the surest, most dependable, gratifying ways I know to experience prosperity, no matter what is going on in our lives. It's something that people often don't like to talk about. It's something people have a lot of misconceptions about. But it's something we all need to know about, something we all need to have the opportunity to take advantage of, something we can all use for our own personal experience of true prosperity. Today, I'm going to talk about tithing. In 2006, I wrote a pamphlet about tithing, and I traveled around the country giving talks on the subject. I recently pulled out that talk again, and when I did, I realized that I've had many revelations about tithing and have deepened my understanding of it in many ways over the past 7 years since I gave that talk. So I'm going to speak today about what I have come to understand about tithing and why it has a value that far surpasses anything to do with money or success or, for that matter, anything material. The truth about tithing is important because it takes us to the very heart of the matter of why we're really at Unity, what we're learning here, why we come here, what we hope to get out of being here. I think my history with tithing is probably fairly similar to a lot of people's. In my earlier life, I thought of tithing as an obligation, a rule, something we were made to do by a religious organization so that the religious organization could support itself. Another of my earlier thoughts was that it was charity, me, out of the goodness of my heart, supporting a religious organization. There was some sense that I had to do this in order to be a good person or something, or so that God would show me favor. Or more accurately, so God, who I still thought of as some sort of physical being, located somewhere with human qualities of playing favorites, making rules, being disappointed, getting angry, so that God would not punish me. In both of these characterizations of tithing, I was outside the religious organization, outside of God, and both had power over me. I first came to Unity in 2002, and by 2006, I had gone through what I like to call the first major transition that is necessary in the pursuit of truth. Until that time, I think I thought of the physical world as source. Things in the physical world, like success, relationship, money, even where I lived and how I looked, would determine my value as a human being and would also determine how happy and fulfilled I would be in life. I'm just reminded of when John Cryer won the Emmy 2 years ago, and he got it, and he said, I always thought of these awards as phony and popularity contests, but now that I'm standing here with one, I realize it is the only true measure of the value of a human being. So the first important transition I made from thinking that the physical world was source was in realizing that thought is the source of the things we see in the physical world. That these things we see in the physical world are reflections, outpicturings, manifestations of thought. The revelation was that thought must come first. When I wrote the tithing pamphlet and gave my talk in 2006, this was the level to which my consciousness had grown. I understood our church as a source of new thoughts, a source of knowing that thought is the source of all the things we see in the world, of success, of money, of power, of love, of relationship. Thought. And in addition to reminding us that thought is key, in our every interaction with the church, we are given new thoughts to expand our understanding and give us greater access to prosperity. So having come to this important milestone in understanding, I wrote in the pamphlet about how we give back 10% of what we have been given, what we have manifested financially as a result of the thoughts that we receive and practice in our church. And in doing this, the church thrives more, gives us more thoughts, and since new thoughts are the cause of manifestation, we see more and more of what we want in the world. This is all well and good and does seem to be, in fact, a recipe for manifesting the things we want to see in our life in the physical world. At the time I wrote the pamphlet, I thought, okay, I've got it. Tithe, and I will receive, and I will achieve the goal of manifestation and be happy. However, as I went along and did in fact see a lot of great stuff appear, I began to realize that there's a big fallacy to this way of thinking, and it's one of the major pitfalls we meet when we study New Thought. In this way of thinking, I thought of tithing as a technique to use that would get me the things I truly thought were important and that I wanted and needed in the physical world. The physical world was still where I thought I lived, what I thought of as the real world. And spirituality, or the invisible world, was a tool I could hopefully use to get to the goal of having things in the real physical world. If we're to truly understand, practice, and reap the enormous benefits of what we're taught at Unity, there's a second crucial transition we have to make. And this can be the most challenging one because it not only flies in the face of what most of us have been taught through our earlier lives, but it flies in the face of what we think we see before us, where we think we live, and what most humans agree is the truth. In order to truly utilize and live the principles we're taught here, we must make the transition from thinking that we're doing all this spiritual stuff so we can have something in the real physical world to understanding that the spiritual stuff is the real world. The spiritual stuff is the point, the whole point. It's the only world that exists, or at least it's the only world that we can actually experience. So if we're using tithing to get results or achieve something in the physical world or giving 10% so we can get back 100 times the money we put in, we're missing the point. The fact is, we live exclusively in the invisible world of experience. Let me show you what I mean. If you would, close your eyes. With your eyes closed, notice how you know that you are here. Notice how you know you exist, that you are present. There's a sense of consciousness, a sense of I am. This sense of consciousness is not located in any particular place. In fact, it's invisible. It can't be seen, but it's definitely here as an experience. An invisible, non-physical, non-locatable experience. So it could be said that who you are is an invisible consciousness located nowhere. Just get that. You are not located anywhere. You are not physical. You are a consciousness. Now, notice that you have sensations: itching, tightness, shortness of breath, hotness, coldness, relaxation, calm, pounding, rushing. The experience of these sensations, like your consciousness, is invisible. Notice the sensations you're having right now and just be with them. Nothing to change, nothing to release. No need to relax, let go. Just experience your sensations exactly as they are. So it could be said that who you are is an invisible consciousness experiencing invisible sensations. Notice that those sensations are not your consciousness. They are being experienced by you. They are not you. Now notice your thoughts. Notice that you can think anything. I want you to locate a baboon in your thoughts. Say got it when you got it. Got it. Shouldn't take any more than the time it takes to think of it for you to get it. And the time it takes to think of anything is infinitesimal. Now, see yourself doing the twist on the rings of Saturn. Say got it when you got it. Got it. If you're having trouble seeing this or find yourself saying, well, that's impossible, Saturn's rings are not solid and you can't breathe on Saturn, remember, I didn't ask you to take this into the physical universe, just to see it in the invisible world of unlimited possible thoughts where it always exists. Notice that all the things you quote-unquote see in this realm are invisible, not solid or physical. You have infinite choice of what you can see here, unlike in the physical world where it seems much harder to see things. And this infinite world is inside you and always available to you. So it could be said that who you are is an invisible consciousness located nowhere, not physical, experiencing invisible sensations and containing unlimited invisible thoughts. In fact, what I have just described is your entire world of experience and is the only place in which you live. All you truly are is an invisible consciousness experiencing invisible sensations and containing unlimited invisible thoughts. Period. You are not the things that happen in the world. You are not even your body. You are not even your thoughts and sensations. You are an invisible consciousness experiencing these things as invisible thoughts and experiencing them as invisible sensations. It's what Charles Fillmore, one of the co-founders of Unity, calls substance. Substance is the invisible world. That's where everything is. Anything that happens in the physical world is only experienced as thoughts and sensations inside of you. Sit for a moment and experience your whole self. Experience yourself as an invisible consciousness and simply have the thoughts and sensations you're having at this moment. This is all you ever are. This is all that's ever happening. Nothing dangerous about it. No outcomes. No future. Nothing that has to happen. Nowhere you have to get. Nothing that can be lost or gained, for that matter. Just consciousness, thoughts, and sensations all the time, at every moment, no matter what's going on in the world. What you are experiencing right now is peace. Peace is not necessarily comfortable. Peace does not feel any specific way. Peace is simply being with what is and being with how you are when what is. And peace is always readily available to you. All you have to do is what you just did. Close your eyes, notice your sensations, notice your thoughts, and simply be with them. Peace. Anytime, anywhere, no matter what's happening. So knowing this, knowing that you are really invisible and live only in the invisible world, open your eyes and look out at the visible world, which is not where you live. You're just looking out at it and experiencing it as your thoughts and sensations. So, the only place in which you can experience anything is in the invisible world of consciousness via invisible thoughts and sensations. This being so, the only reason you want anything is so that you can have an interior experience. Another way of saying this is, if you want something, you have to have the consciousness for it, consciousness to experience it. What this really means is that when we look at the world, we are only seeing what's inside ourselves. If the only way in which we can experience anything in the world is through invisible thoughts and sensations that are experienced inside our consciousness, then no matter what we look at in the world, all we will see is our own thoughts and sensations. So the only way we can ever see what we want in the physical world is if we already know that we have it in our consciousness. There's nothing in the world that is intrinsically important or intrinsically means anything. Things in the world only reflect to each of us whatever thoughts we are already having inside. And the paradox is that once we know we have it inside, we don't need to see it in the physical world. We have it in the only place we can ever have anything, in the invisible world of experience. But the further paradox is that since the world simply reflects our consciousness exactly as it is back to us, when we have the consciousness, we must see things in the world that reflect our consciousness. A mirror must reflect what's in front of it. It doesn't have a choice. We think what we want is things. That's what it looks like. But what we really want is the experience we think those things will bring us. This is where the illusion lies. The truth is, things can't bring us experience. They can only reflect what we're thinking, reflect the part of the infinite consciousness that we have been willing to open ourselves up to. Now the question is, what is it that keeps us from opening up to the truth that who we are is invisible, invulnerable, infinite consciousness with infinite abundance available to us right here and now with the flip of a mental switch? What keeps us from the capability of experiencing wholeness and, in fact, anything at any time? Well, as I've come to understand in my work in thought exchange, when we have an early childhood experience in which a positive thought is associated with a negative outcome, which is experienced inside of us as an uncomfortable sensation, we will run away from that positive thought every time we encounter it by taking on thoughts that won't produce that uncomfortable sensation. So, for example, if when you were young you said, "I can do it," and someone slapped you across the face, then when you're older, when you think, "I can do it," you're going to get an uncomfortable sensation and have the memory, usually unconscious by this time, of being slapped. To get away from that sensation, which is totally harmless now, it's just a tingling in your face, we will take on the thought, "I can't do it." So we grow up depriving ourselves of all sorts of experiences of success, prosperity, happiness, ability, because these all now come with uncomfortable sensations and with thoughts that we can't have them. The only way to be able to get back to the place where we can choose any thought and thus have any experience is to be willing to experience the sensations and have the thoughts that come with the thought we wish to choose. So everything we do, everything that happens, everything we go for, everything we achieve is not about the achievement, the manifestation, the success itself. It's about developing our ability to experience anything so that we can take on any thought and be with whatever harmless, meaningless, albeit uncomfortable sensations that arise when we take on that thought. So if interior experience is the whole ball of wax, of what use is the physical world? Why do we have it? Well, as I said before, many of us started out thinking that the physical world was the object, the goal, and the spiritual world was a tool to help us get there. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. The physical world is a tool, like a mirror, that we can use to see ourselves and see where our consciousness is. What is in the mirror is not real. There is no person in the mirror, but we use a mirror to fix and correct a lot of things on us. When we look in the mirror and see that our hair is not combed or our makeup is a mess, things we would not be aware of if we didn't look in the mirror. In fact, it always kind of freaks me out that I realize if I didn't have a mirror, I'd never know what I looked like. I would never see myself. I could be green. I could have smudges all over my face. I would never know. Also freaks me out that when I look at the television, I'm actually looking at a bunch of dots. When I become aware of that, it becomes hard to follow the story. So when we look in the mirror and see that our hair is not combed or our makeup is a mess, things we would not be aware of if we didn't have a mirror, we can then pick up a brush or fix our makeup. We would never look in a mirror and see that the makeup we see in the mirror is wrong and put makeup on the mirror. That would be ridiculous. Imagine if we got up in the morning, looked at ourselves in the mirror and said, "Ooh, you look awful," and put makeup all over the mirror so that what we would see in the mirror was a face with makeup on it, and then went out of the house. Nothing would have changed about us because we put makeup on the mirror. We still look exactly the same. So we are working with the physical world. We are not in it. We are not of it. There's nothing we need from the physical world, just as there's nothing we need from a mirror. What could you possibly get from a mirror? The event, the money, the success, the relationship are not important in and of themselves, but they are useful in several ways. First of all, they're useful in that they bring up or shed light on different sensations and thoughts that we have in the real world, which, remember, is the invisible world inside of us. So we get to not only see what's inside of us, but more importantly, we get to practice being with it. They're just sensations and thoughts. They have no intrinsic meaning. They can't hurt, change, expand, or contract the invisible consciousness of infinite possibility that we are. And by practicing being with these sensations and thoughts, we get closer and closer to an experience of peace, an experience of love, an experience of forgiveness. In my study of New Thought and my work in Thought Exchange, I have come to the conclusion that peace, love, and forgiveness are all the same thing. Allowing things to be as they are and allowing ourselves to experience things as they are inside of us. And we can only allow things to be as they are when we know that we can't be hurt by them. So by going through events in the world, knowing they can't hurt or diminish who we really are in any way, we get to practice and experience our infiniteness and the fact that at all times we can have peace, love, and forgiveness by simply being with whatever is going on inside of us, exactly as it is. So all these events that happen, especially the repeated upsets, have been designed by us, again, albeit unconsciously, to give us practice in being with the thoughts and sensations that we have run from as children, because as children, we had no one to be with us when we were having them. The harder the incident, the more practice and growth we get if we know how to use it for that, instead of trying to solve our problem. It's like being in the Marines. The drill sergeant makes you do hundreds of push-ups. They're very unpleasant. But the Marine does not spend his efforts trying to figure out how to get the drill sergeant to stop. Because the Marine knows that the more push-ups he does, the more prepared he is for what he has to do, the more strength and stamina he has at his disposal. So we create these incidents, these challenges, these problems, apparent lack of money, even though money's infinite, breakup of relationships when there are infinite relationships to be had, career challenges when every opportunity is open to us, health issues, and by our being with them, our inner child finally has someone to be with it through these thoughts and sensations. And we are able to reclaim the thoughts we have rejected and widen our ability to know that who we are is invisible, infinite consciousness with infinite, immediate possibilities for experience no matter what is going on. We generate these situations to give us the opportunity, but so often we fall into the illusion of thinking the situations are the point, or that they're even real, and we try to change them or get rid of them, rather than turning inward and experiencing them for the sake of reclaiming and expanding our ability to experience. To do that is like standing in front of a mirror and saying, all right, I am not moving until you move. It can't move. It can't. A mirror can't move. The reflection can't move. It's there for you to see you. Lately, I like to liken life to playing a game of Monopoly. Remember Monopoly? Why do we play Monopoly? You land on someone's hotel and you have to pay a lot of money. You get very upset. Then someone lands on your hotel. You get a lot of money. You're thrilled. You didn't lose a house. The money you won isn't real. Nothing happened. You know that at any moment you can step away from the game and nothing has been lost or gained. What if life is actually the biggest game of all? Oh my God, this disaster is happening. Oh, thank God, yay, I fixed it. Oh no, I'm losing. Yay, I'm right. Oh no, I'm wrong. Like the weather report, bad news. It's going to rain tomorrow, but thank God it's going to be sunny the next day. The truth is we have as much ability to be joyful on a rainy day as on a sunny day, and vice versa. Why? Because we know that we are not that rainy day, and we are not that sunny day. I think the object of life is to experience ourselves as the infinite, unlimited, invisible beings that we are all the time, no matter what the circumstance. In order to do this, we have to be able to think any thought. In order to be able to think any thought, we have to be able to be with the sensations and other thoughts that come up when we think that thought. The physical world and all the events in it mean nothing. But they help us, because if we're conscious, we use every event, to reflect back to us, to reflect us back into our thoughts and sensations. And the events that send us into the most uncomfortable thoughts and sensations are the events that are doing the most healing for us, because they're giving us the opportunity to be with those thoughts and sensations. And by being with them, we have access to think and thus experience whatever we want in the only place we can ever experience anything: inside. We live in the world of experience, not in the world of stuff. One more thing about games. They have rules. In baseball, you could run from first base to third base directly, but you wouldn't be playing by the rules and restrictions that we have set up, we've made up in the game of baseball. We create these rules and restrictions because they give us the best chance of learning the internal lessons, which are the reasons we play the game, by safely setting up the conditions with which we wrestle in life so that we can experience them inside and master them. The game itself doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who wins the game. In our experience, we have different experiences, but it doesn't matter. But playing it by the rules gives us the opportunity to move closer to the only thing we really want: complete access at every moment to the infiniteness of who we are. Right now, we are playing the game of church. It's a game. Doesn't mean anything. It's not necessary. But we've set it up, all of us, as a group, to learn certain things safely, joyfully, together. So what are the rules of the game of church? We all get together and form and support an organization that is designed to give us new thoughts that will expand our ability to experience anything we want in life. The object of the game is to have this organization be as thriving and prosperous as possible. Why? Not because it's about the organization. This is just a game. This is a monopoly board. But because the only way to get the organization to thrive is for us to be thriving ourselves inside. The church is nothing more than a mirror for us in which we get to see what we are thinking about prosperity. So the object of the game is for the church to be prosperous and thriving and give us new thoughts. But the purpose of the game is for us to be the prosperity that we see in the church, because otherwise we would not be able to see that prosperity. It's only a reflection of us. Another way of saying this is that we win the game when the church is totally prosperous. But what we get when we win the game is an experience of the inner prosperity that caused the church to experience prosperity. Our experience of inner prosperity causes the church to appear prosperous because the only place the church is appearing is inside of me. I like to say, I couldn't even prove that you people are sitting here. I know I experience it, but I would if I was dreaming. You people, another thing people say, you mean there are no people out there? I said, they're not out there, they're in here. Every one of you is in here as an experience. How much closer could you be? The paradox of this game is that although it looks like we're getting new thoughts from the church, in fact, these new thoughts can only show up to us as a reflection of our own connection with infinite possibility. So the church is being created by our thoughts, not vice versa. The church is not giving us our prosperity. We must be experiencing prosperity inside ourselves in order for it to appear in the church. When we hold thoughts of lack or fear, the church immediately reflects these back to us as the church's non-abundance so that we can see our own thoughts of non-abundance, our own experience of non-abundance. When we're willing to hold the thoughts we want to hold, which usually entails feeling uncomfortable sensations and noticing our negative thoughts. So let's get that. When we hold the thoughts of prosperity that we want to hold, that usually entails discomfort. When we hold them, we see the physical evidence of those thoughts, the reflection of them in a thriving church. In this game, there is no such thing as the church isn't giving me enough, the church isn't doing enough, I'm not getting what I need from the church. There is no church. Would you all say that with me? There is no church. We're each creating our experience of the church. We're each looking at ourselves in the church. And we each have the capacity to create the church however we want it to be, simply by connecting with the thoughts of abundance and staying with them no matter what we're seeing on the outside and no matter what kind of discomfort we're feeling on the inside when we hold those thoughts. Winning this game is not having stuff in the world. It's knowing that we already have everything inside in the only place we can ever have anything. The result, the side effect, as it were, of winning this game will be that the world will look the way we want it to look. But that is not the object. The object is to be able to experience having everything on the inside all the time, no matter what the circumstances. So you know the statement, be the thing you want to see in the world. That could also be worded, be the thing you want to get from the world. Because you can't get anything from the world. You can only see what you already are in it. So if you want it, be it. Just like a mirror. You can get information as to what you are or what you are not being. What part of what you already have you're not aware of. But the object is to know that it's inside of us already, and the game of church helps us to see that. So, what does tithing have to do with all this? Well, tithing is one of the rules of the game. One of the most important, effective ways in which this game serves the purpose for which we play it. Tithing is a way in which you can use the game of church to your best real advantage. For you. Not for the church. For you. I would have to say, as I look around the world, that one of our biggest problems, our biggest challenges, appears to be money. Money, of course, like everything else physical, is nothing. It's only experienced inside of our thoughts and sensations. But our thoughts about money create in most of us tremendous limitation to what we think we're allowed to think, what we think we're allowed to do, what we think we're allowed to have. Our thoughts about money in many cases reflect in our seeing the world as a place of limitation and lack. This is because we erroneously think that money is limited, hard to get, and that money, which we think of as scarce, means things about our lack of value or worth. So we hold these thoughts about ourselves, and the result is that what we see around us is lack. In fact, money is no scarcer than water. It's all around us, everywhere. If you asked me for a glass of water, I would give it to you immediately. I'd give you 50 glasses of water. Why? Because I know water is infinite. So is money. It's everywhere. But we only see that portion of it that's in our consciousness. So one of the biggest issues we have is not money, but our consciousness about money, which is showing up in the mirror as our experiencing our lives as limited. And tithing is the greatest, most efficient way I know to break open that consciousness and experience abundance. The way tithing does it is this. By taking on the thought, money is abundant and flowing and infinite, which we must be thinking in order to tithe, otherwise we would never give away 1/10 of our money. By taking on this thought and taking action on it, we bring up every doubt we have about money, every fear, every uncomfortable sensation. It's funny when you do the tithe and you see I easily, and I think, not me. Same time, I love when people say, close your eyes and feel the peace. That ain't what I feel when I close my eyes. I feel. So when we take an action, we bring up every doubt we have about money, every fear, every uncomfortable sensation. So tithing is not fun. It's not comfortable. It's not easy. It's about as much fun and easy as doing 100 push-ups, or running the marathon, or being married. It brings up negative thoughts and uncomfortable sensations. I was saying in the first service, I have a thought exchange student who said to me one day, she said, well, I'm single and you have a partner. I said, and? She said, well, when you're married or you have a partner, you know that when you have a problem and you bring it home, you have someone there who always agrees with you 100% and always supports you. And I went, that thought is why you're not married. So, these negative thoughts and uncomfortable sensations, or more accurately, the fear of them or the avoidance of them, are what keep us from seeing the abundance that already exists inside our invisible consciousness. Just as doing 100 push-ups gives us inner fortitude, just as running the marathon is not so much a physical exercise as a mental one, where we learn that we can stick with something no matter how uncomfortable and painful it feels. Marriage can be the same thing. If it's something we desire, we must be able to be with the painful thoughts and uncomfortable sensations that go with it. So when we tithe, we experience what it's like to hold the thought that money is abundant and plentiful. And very often, it's frightening to hold that thought and to feel the great discomfort and fear that goes with holding that thought. Seeing, put those two together, they come together. We're trying to avoid it. They come together. But when we tithe, we are holding that thought and honing our ability to experience abundance with that thought and any of the sensations that come with it. And that's the only way to have abundance, is to experience it. So can you see, here's another paradox. We tithe in order to experience abundance. So when you experience abundance, you naturally tithe as an expression of that sense that you have more than enough and that the world is an abundant place. But it's even perhaps more important to tithe when you're not experiencing abundance. To give when you think you have nothing. This is the way to return to the experience of abundance, to open your vision wider, to see more of the infinite abundance you already have. It can be very scary, but walking through that fear is the most effective way I know of returning to an experience of abundance. If you are experiencing non-abundance right now, if you are thinking, you don't have enough, how could I do that? I can't pay the rent. I urge you, tithe now. So, close your eyes for a moment once again. Imagine this church being everything you would like it to be. Thriving, bustling with new thought and excitement, overflowing with prosperity, financially abundant, offering you unlimited opportunities for fellowship, healing, spiritual growth, in whatever way you desire. Go for it. You don't have to know how. You don't have to know what you're going to do about it. Just imagine this church everything that you could want it to be, giving you everything you need from it. Now, imagine your own life as all that abundance that you see in the mirror of the church. Imagine that the church's abundance that you're seeing in your mind's eye is an exact reflection of your internal abundance. Imagine yourself as rich as you want to be, doing whatever you want to do, money flowing, gratifying work, wonderful relationships. Go for it. Imagine it. And now, holding that image in mind for you and for the church, notice where you're experiencing uncomfortable sensations, where you have a tightness in your chest, a pounding heart, are short of breath, feel like you're going to pass out. And notice all the thoughts you have about how that's impossible, not available to you, not something the world will give you, all the reasons you have why that can't happen. Notice them while holding the vision of abundance. The abundance is a fact. Everything exists in the invisible world. The other are thoughts that you generate when you hold it. Hold them all. Tithing is not supposed to feel good. It is supposed to bring up whatever thoughts and sensations you have about abundance so you can be with those thoughts and sensations. You can be with yourself so you can regain access to any thought, by being able to be with the sensations and negative thoughts that come with that thought. And when you can do that, you will see the world, no matter what appears in the world, as abundant and infinite and flowing and satisfying, because that's where you live inside. And whatever you truly regard as prosperity must appear in the world before you. Prosperity is for you because it's in you. Prosperity is in you right now, not out there, not related to the physical world, in you, in the world of experience. And prosperity does not necessarily feel good or comfortable. But when you can experience whatever prosperity feels like, you can stay constantly in the experience of prosperity no matter what. So think about giving 10% of what you earned this week, today, right now. Notice the uncomfortable sensations and thoughts you have when you think about that. Notice if you think, I can't do that. Notice if you think, oh, he's just trying to rip us off. Nancy slipped him some money to say this. Would you like to conquer those thoughts and sensations? Would you like to live life knowing that thoughts and sensations simply come with abundance and have no ability to stop you from doing, having, and thus experience anything? Then try it. Today. I dare you. And instantly turn your prosperity consciousness around. So open your eyes. At 1 o'clock, we're going to be doing a thought exchange workshop on prosperity. Bring your thoughts of what you really want to this workshop. Your dreams, your big dreams. They can be what you want for inside of yourself, or you can talk about what you want in the mirror, things that you want in the physical world. And we'll look at them and see what sensations and negative thoughts they come with. And the moment you can be with all that comes with those thoughts and dreams, you'll be able to live and experience those thoughts and dreams. It's transformative, life-opening experience. Don't miss it. Nobody has to talk if they don't want to. You get as much out of it whether you share your dreams or not. So join us. In a few minutes, we're going to do the offering. And it is really an offering. And it's funny, when it says, I comfortably and joyfully give, what that means is I am comfortable with whatever is going on with me as I give. It doesn't mean, oh, I feel terrific. I am comfortable giving with my heart pounding, with my mind screaming, with my hands shaking, with my thoughts going wild. That is the comfort that statement is talking about. So, we're going to do the offering, and it really is an offering. We are offering ourselves the opportunity right here and now to have whatever we want in life. You don't have to tithe. You're not bad or wrong if you don't. But let me ask you this. If you were truly prosperous, would you tithe? Well, you are truly prosperous. I had to tithe to find that out. If you're not so sure, you may have to tithe to find that out too. It's always a blessing to be here and speak with you, and I will see you at the workshop. Thank you. Okay, so we are playing the game of life, and this is a song that I wrote in college, actually, and it's about how you might decide to live that life and play that game. Oh, life is full of grief and pain and sadness, it is true. But if it's driving you insane, there's just one thing to do. You gotta send all your troubles out of sight. Live it up, live it up, live it up, live it up tonight. When I was just a little boy, my grandma used to say, tomorrow takes care of itself, so just live for today. She said, boy, better do as you are told. Better live it up now before you get too old. The world is here just for the taking, live in it, laugh in it, love in it, do anything you want to do. 'Cause life is just too short to waste, there's so much wine for you to taste, so why not sit down a while and have yourself a glass or two? If all your dreams have failed you and your plans have fallen through, your boyfriend's up and gone and now your wife has left you too, I tell you, everything's gonna be alright. If you go and live it up, live it up, live it up, live it up tonight. Let me tell you a little story. Oh, once there was a boy who was as good as he could be. He never sinned in any way, no, he lived perfectly. He said, I'm gonna wait for my reward. Gonna live it up when I go to meet the Lord. He sat and thought how happy he would be on Judgment Day. He sat and thought his whole life till he finally passed away. When he died, he said, I don't really care, 'cause I'm gonna live it up, gonna live it up, gonna live it up there. He walked up to the pearly gates, said, here I am, let's begin, let me in on all the fun that waits inside. St. Peter looked him in the me. I said, boy, I know you really tried, but too late now. You should have lived it up before you went and died. The moral of the story is as plain as it can be. So do yourself a favor and just take a tip from me. You can't depend on the future anyhow. So you better live it up, 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 live it up now.